Well, hello and welcome again to our reading of selections from Thucydides, Book 4, and we're up to chapter 31. Now, the Athenians have made overtures to the Spartans to hand over the men on the island, and we begin with the genitive absolute telling us that they, that is the Spartans, did not accept it. So they, not having accepted the offer. Now, this is the subject of the verb here is the Athenians, epeskon, from epeko. They delayed, they held off, it's probably better, they held off for one day, and so we get a nice men and debt, but on the following day, they put out to sea during the night, having put on board all the hoplites onto a few ships. But before dawn, a little while, so a little before dawn, they disembarked on either side of the island, on each side of the island, both from the direction of the sea and on the side of the harbour. So this is the use of pros here with the genitive, on the side of the harbour. Malis to use with numbers means approximately, so being approximately 800 hoplites. And they advanced, or they were advancing, it's imperfect here, dromo on the run, so in other words they attacked on the run, in the direction of the first guard post of the island. For thus they had been posted, from diatasso. This is a pluperfect. Now, despite the ending here, this is actually a sonant n, and it's actually a third person plural. It's an ionic form. You don't get very many of these ionic third person plurals in Thucydides. You'll see plenty of them in Herodotus, and of course in Homer, but this is an ionic third person plural, even though it looks like third person singular. It's worth having a bit of a look at a map at this point just to see what this is happening here. So there's the island of Sphacteria. Modern day Pylos is over here, of course. This is the harbour. There's the ancient Pylos is up north here. That's the main Spartan force is here, and these arrows here I think indicate the first Athenian attack. One side from the side of the sea, this is the open sea here of course, and the other side from the side of the harbour here. Just so we get some idea of what's happening. You'll see Sphacteria is a very long, narrow island, and the area in Pylos here is very narrow as well. So that's what's happening here in terms of the picture. Now, continuing on, so at this first Phulake, at this first guard, perhaps guard post, there were, hose plus a number also is approximately, there were about 30 hoplites, but the majority of them, most of them, understand were, most of them perhaps held, I think, rather than were, most of them held the middle and the most level part, and the area around the water, probably the water supply, that is around this spring that was mentioned in an earlier section. So the majority of them were in the middle, on that more level ground around the water supply. And Epitadas was the one in charge, or Archon, the one ruling. Eke, Ake from Echo, held this place, was holding this place. Meros de ti upolu autoto eschaton, and I have to just turn the page here, ephulase. So the subject here is, so this is in distinction with Epitades. But a small force, not a big one, Ephialtes was guarding the extreme part, to eschaton, the end. There's the Ephialtes of the island, the one in the direction of Pylos, as we saw in the map. That was that northerly section there at the extreme part of the island, which was on the seaside, and it was precipitous, and the least epimachon, that means attackable or assailable, so the one least attackable or assailable from the land. There was understood a certain Eruma. This is a fort, and it's an old one. There was also, there's the was there. So there was also a certain old fort there. Pepoemenon, this is the participle here, agreeing with Eruma, which was made from a logardane, a collection of stones. So it was a rough old place made from a collection of stones, which they considered would be useful to them if an anachoresis bioterra, so if a forcible retreat might befall them. And so thus they were stationed, thus they were arranged from Tasso. This is the periphrastic perfect usage of this verb tasso, which is perfectly good Greek. So thus they were arranged or organised. And that's the end of chapter 31.